The idea of a new country, where youth had a strong purpose in life, attracted me as a young filmmaker to accept a contract with the Israeli government. My job was to document subjects of interest for distribution to TV stations in the United States. The building of a nation made up of many diverse ethnic groups, besides Jews, Christians, Muslims, and Druze. My first documentary film was about the Israeli Scout movement, which helped integrate youngsters from different countries into Israeli society. They experienced working on the land, had informative trips to historic sites, and participated in exciting activities. The Sea Scouts were presented with a new challenge, the beauty of life at sea. I photographed world events like the surfacing of the Second Dead Sea Scroll, which was being unrolled by a Christian expert in Jerusalem, and the laying of the cornerstone of the new Church of the Annunciation in Nazareth. I was old enough to have been aware of the earth-shaking events of World War II, although too young to have served in the military. I also knew of the Jewish collective history of my parents before arriving on the welcoming shores of the United States 80 years before. This painful background of millions of my people I mirrored by assembling archive material of early Jewish life, such as a reenactment of a European pogrom from a Jewish silent feature film discovered by me in a remote storage space above an old cinema in New York City. Jewish life in Eastern Europe was usually basic, difficult, and dangerous. Institutions of learning, however, were always a priority for the community, and there were joyful events too, like a wedding celebration, reenacted on film by actors who did not need much direction. The unspeakable evil of the Hitler years had been recorded in grim detail. The death camps, which brutally cut short millions of innocent lives. As I gathered together archival material to retell a horrific piece of history for future generations to remember, I was always shocked when seeing these scenes, no matter how many times I reviewed them in the editing process. The life of a Jew, whether man, woman, or child, the old and the sick, was dispensable. Life or death was decreed by a Nazi officer with the turn of his hand, motioning the victim to work or to death by gassing. The ingathering of the remnants of world Jewry after the establishment of the State of Israel marked the beginning of a new era of hope and fulfillment. The newly established towns and cities grew and prospered as once arid land bloomed and massive water sources were harnessed. Life could be normal as children visited the Jerusalem Biblical Zoo, or a group of Druze soldiers spent the day enjoying the sights. Local industry began to grow as it progressed from handmade items to machine-manufactured goods. Building techniques advanced, as did consumer taste. Life was good for most Israeli citizens, although the economy was affected by the need to absorb thousands of new immigrants and provide them with the necessities of everyday living. Jerusalem remained the capital of the country, once again peaceful after years of tension and strife. The beauty and uniqueness of the city has been recorded by countless visitors throughout the centuries. People in the street displayed a mixture of the old and the new. A cosmopolitan atmosphere began to emerge as new shops appeared on the main streets, and traffic flowed past smartly uniformed policemen. Above all, Jerusalem remained the spiritual center of the world. Of the many Israelis who gave their lives to withstand attacks from neighboring Arab countries in order to establish a Jewish state inspired me to produce and direct a feature film which told a small part of that story.
How many is that?
34.
34? Since when?
Since this morning, if you really want to know.
Is that the record?
The record? Ha! The record is 97 from 8 in the morning to 6 in the evening, a month ago, Thursday.
Ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha. You know what's your trouble?
What?
You have got nothing of the sportsman in you. That's your trouble. Ha ha.
The film focused on an outpost in the Negev area where they faced vastly superior Egyptian forces. A Sabra commander, an American volunteer, and a Holocaust victim are caught up in the drama of their own lives as well as the war for national survival. There were moments of humor as well as crisis, which ended without an ending for those who remained alive.
What's trouble?
Nothing, no trouble.
Well, then come on.
You first, take a look.
Oh, don't be silly, will you?
Do me a favor, take a look and then tell me. Is everything all right?
Sure.
Lovely. Is there something?
Sure.
Do you like dates?
Yeah, very much.
Wait till you see them, the dates we'll have. Sweet girl dates the size of your thumb. You'll see.
Is it a boy or a girl?
Excuse me?
The tree. Well, it's a date palm, isn't it?
Of course.
Then it has to be a female or a male. It's a female who gives a date. Well, you mean to tell me you don't know if it's a female or a male?
Certainly I know. Who planted it? I was the one who planted it, wasn't I?
Sure. I leave you to rest in the shade, huh?
A boy or a girl.
The annual parade in Tel Aviv, the Ad Lo Yoda, was in full swing. The colorful floats and gay mass of onlookers crammed into every available space to view the passing pageant, representing many events and personalities from the biblical past. The need for humor during the difficult social and financial times that followed the establishment of the state impelled me to produce and direct a comedy depicting through humor the current scene in the country. A group of stories related by travelers sharing a battered taxi returning from a Purim parade reflected many current attitudes in a light manner.
It's strange that the Red Forces were losing, even though they had such a good soldier as I. Even my nerd foretold that I would be a great military man.
The first story was a satire on Army life.
In the end, our unlikely hero succeeds in winning, almost single-handed, a war game between opposing sides.
aging grandma's fear of a visit to the big city resulted in her mistakenly stealing a banknote from a citizen who befriended her. Safed, a city located high in the north, provided the setting for the visualization of an oft-told Hasidic tale which contained a moral message. The story, set during a bygone period, concerned a very religious man who had difficulty holding a job. He sold fish in the market, but did not earn enough to feed his growing family. So he became a plucker of chicken feathers, but learned to his sorrow he was allergic to the work. What to do?
You're sure? I think it's time to get a bigger home.
Is not this home big enough?
Why do you always answer my question by asking one?
Why not?
Yes. Our home is big enough for you and me, but not for the feeling. No.
Remember, Sarah, I'm a poor man. I'm long on learning, but unfortunately, as the Almighty wishes, very short on cash. We have to pray to God to help us, Sarah.
God helps those
who help themselves, I know. Oh, perhaps I'll see it Ezra, Sarah. I'm sure he's going to help us. Come in. I dislike to disturb you, Rabbi, but I have a small problem. Have you a goat, my son? A goat? Of course I have a goat. But what do you ask, Rabbi? Where do you keep this goat? Well, always been kept tied outside in the yard, Rabbi. Then bring in the goat now into your house to live with you. But beloved Rabbi. Yes. Bring in the goat into your house.
Rabbi, what have I done that you have inflicted this goat upon my household?
Tell me, Yeshua, do you have also a few chickens?
Chickens? You're breaking into the house? But Rabbi!
Well, Joshua, is your home large enough now?
Certainly not. We live in North Ark, Rabbi.
Then why do you not take out all your animals?
No sooner were all the animals removed from the house when, miracle of miracles, the walls of Yeshua's tiny room seemed to expand into beautiful and spacious quarters.
The true story of a bank clerk who stole money to give to the poor caught my attention. The mild-mannered and good-natured man worked efficiently at his job. However, he was very troubled by the sight of poor immigrants living in temporary housing nearby. He decided one day to take large sums from the vault and throw the money away in the neighboring Ma'bara. The results were predictable. He was traced by the police and arrested. When he informed the inspector that he considered himself Aharon, the helper of Moses, the officer was faced with an unusual situation. So he thought of an unusual solution. He appeared in the bank teller's cell at night as Moses, requesting the help of Aharon for financial assistance.
And so, the hiding place of the money was discovered in an old cemetery.
Thanks, and good night.
Good night.
Casablanca, the captain. I haven't seen you since the war. Yes.
Casablanca is a Jew from Casablanca who fought well in the War of Independence, but becomes a suspect in a murder committed in a house where he rents a room.
Casablanca. He's a good man, I guess. Always ready to help everyone.
Listen, all I want is to ask a couple of questions to help him now.
But I don't know anything.
Look how she talks. You are young, pretty. You come from a good family. One day you'll meet somebody decent with money. You'll marry.
How can I even look somebody decent in the eye when I have to tremble every time I see a policeman?
I only wanted to give you this. Why were you afraid? I wouldn't hurt you. Your smell drives me crazy. But you put it on for another man. Why not me? Because I'm dark? Look. See my hand and your hand. How little difference there is. Your body feels ripe and sweet. Doesn't your blood tell you we are made for each other? Don't you feel me? Don't you want me?
No!
Rachel!
Don't ever touch me again.
Go then. Run to somebody else and wish him joy, because I catch him and kill him!
Let me go! You animal! You primitive animal! Go back to the jungle where you belong.
I'm going to marry her.
I stood outside and I watched. I felt I was wounded and my blood was draining for hours. You are not laughing?
No?
Kill you.
You better forget that kind of talk.
I don't care. I'm going to get drunk. I'll drink till I see myself back in the streets of Casablanca, and my father and mother selling rotten fruits in the marketplace.
In the end, the girl married the lawyer, and Casablanca remained alone and isolated.
Cheer up.
Casablanca.
He'll never change.
I wonder if any of us really gave him a chance.
All other concerns vanished as the country united to fight still another threat to their sovereign existence. Desperately wanting to help, I flew in just before the war's outbreak as a correspondent cameraman for United States television. The overwhelming emotional experience was evident in my first television appearance upon returning to the United States.
So anxious to get to the Wailing Wall, and then this big burly paratrooper got to the Wailing Wall and he burst into tears, as was the experience of anyone who, including myself, I'm not ashamed to admit, who came into the presence of this remnant of our 2,000 years of history.
A documentary produced and directed by me for U.S. television focused on the first regular bus to the newly conquered Sinai Desert area. The majestic scenery provided unforgettable vistas. Our small group bumped and struggled through the almost impossible camel trails to reach the Santa Caterina Monastery, an ancient place seldom visited by tourists, where the bones of former monks were displayed and venerated. The Greek Orthodox monks were very hospitable and showed with pride their priceless collection of religious books dating from antiquity. At dawn, the group trekked to the top of the Mountain of Moses, believed by many the place God gave Moses the 10 Commandments. Normal life in Israel now included fashion shows.
Israel is very much in fashion, and fashion is in Israel. High fashion in leather, I beg it o'er. The fashions go to the United States, but the girls stay here. Shalom.
Education has always been important for the Jewish people, and the Hadassah Women's Zionist Organization pioneered the concept of a community college here, where youngsters from all socioeconomic backgrounds had a chance to move ahead within the Israeli society. At a school performance, some young students remembered well the dances of their ethnic past. When peaceful coexistence with its Arab neighbors seemed almost possible, Egyptian and Syrian armies succeeded in dramatically penetrating Israel's defenses on their northern and southern borders. Caught off guard on Yom Kippur, the holiest of Jewish holidays, the result was truly a day of judgment for the young state. With yet another great loss of life, Israel managed to turn seeming defeat into victory.
לך דודי לקראת קהלה בני שבת נקבלה ואבא מצלצל קולו בשירי שבת דרור יקרא לבן
Once again, the institutions of higher learning returned to the job of educating future generations who would make their contribution to science, industry, and the arts.
That's it. Focus your sound a little bit. Focus, 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 focus.
During the past few years, I turned my attention to documenting the life within Jewish communities which were practically unknown to the wider world. Many of these Jews eventually chose to start life anew in Israel. The 1,000-year-old Ethiopian Jewish community, now called Beta Yisrael, struggled to maintain a Jewish way of life as a small minority amidst a large population of Coptic and Islamic peoples. Far removed from the technical advancements of the industrialized West, they were influenced by the reality of being detached from the global mainstream. The American author Meyer Levin thoroughly researched the subject and wrote this scenario. Today, most of those seen here live productive lives in the state of Israel.
The past days have witnessed the most dramatic escalation in the fighting between Israeli and PLO forces in the Beirut area since the start of the Lebanese war. Hundreds of shells have been exploding on both sides as the casualty figures mount.
The Peace for Galilee War in '82 returned me to the role of correspondent for U.S. television. The result was more soldiers killed and wounded and a political quagmire, which eventually resulted in Israelis having to pull out from the conquered region and return to their former border.
In the checkerboard of artillery fire, you never know where the shells are going to land. 15 minutes ago, we were on that hill behind me. The Israeli army spokesman announced today that 28 soldiers were wounded, and Beirut radio said that in the capital city at least 20 were killed and 80 wounded as a result of the intense artillery duels. The shelling was so heavy that no diplomatic meetings were held since the Lebanese government negotiators could not reach the meeting place because of the fierce fighting. U.S. Special Envoy Philip Habib has several elements to help find a solution to the war in Lebanon. He's got elements of the Sixth Fleet, French paratroopers, and Greek ships. What he doesn't have is silence. From Beirut, this is Larry Frisch reporting.
Sadly, synagogue populations are dwindling, even in Jamaica, which has a proud 400-year history, beginning with the arrival of Jews with Columbus on his first voyage there. Ainsley Henriquez is descended from one of Jamaica's first Jewish families.
This is one of 14 of the Jewish cemeteries that stretch right across the island. As Jews settled in most of the major towns, in the early years of Jamaica's history. Jews were attracted to Jamaica not just for its religious freedoms, but also because of the economic opportunities which were offered. They started as peddlers, as artisans, as shopkeepers, and they evolved into many other professions.
My family came from England and Portugal several hundred years ago, I should imagine. And of course, I was brought up in the synagogue, and what I do remember best of all, I should imagine, is my bar mitzvah, which was a long time ago. If I remember correctly, 1926.
The future, like all small communities, possibly not an encouraging one, but at the same time a very historic one. And many people in Jamaica today have been able to recognize and connect their roots to this historic community, even if they are no longer practicing as Jews. It is our fervent hope that this community will continue for a long time to come.
The uneasy situation of Jews in Yemen drew me to produce and direct a video based on film material of Jacques and Tamar Unger, which eventually resulted in the reuniting of many Yemenite families in Israel. The century-old way of life was colorful, but also fraught with problems of a minority living amongst a Muslim majority. Still, the traditional Jewish value of the study of Torah was scrupulously followed. Full attention was expected by even the youngest of students. The teacher proudly introduced his class.
إذا مشبهه
جميل
حسيني
ذا سليمان بن هارون
جميل
ذا ليوي سليمان
جميل
كان وذا عزرا هارون ذا داود هارون ذا يوسف يعقوب ذا سعيد هارون
كلهم مشبهة جميل
كلهم مشبهة جميل
من بكعة ويعطوا شمخه
موسى هارون.
Synagogues without Jews. This sad realization encouraged me to direct a video based on material researched by Ben Sion and Rivka Dorfman, documenting the world of Eastern Europe. Some synagogues remained abandoned. Others were used as warehouses and museums. Most stand in silent testimony to a sad chapter of Jewish history. Often, reconstructed synagogues became a major attraction for wandering tourists. A friend born in Calcutta returned to familiar scenes and, together with my film crew, visited places connected with his youth. The main change was the loss to many countries of Calcutta's once great Jewish population. The grand institutions remained, minus the multitudes who had contributed in the past so much to their city. Schools and hospitals established by the affluent Jewish society were full. However, only the name remained, for the bustling schools now contained children of different faiths.
And what is the final word? Is there a future or only memories, images linked by thoughts, lasting perhaps because they have been recorded and photographed? Will only the buildings remain to bear witness to another Jewish community disappearing into history?
So ends my first 50-year Odyssey. I look forward to ever new challenges.
The state of Israel, where I now live with my children and grandchildren, provides me as a filmmaker with an always interesting and, I believe, bright future.